Do you worry sometimes that when you're trying to get your strong-willed kid to listen, that you're actually risking turning them into a people pleaser? This comes up for a lot of parents because we fundamentally recognize that for a lot of people in our culture, there has become this idea that if we need to make sure that everybody else is happy before we can get what we need. And it can really make some seeds for some really unhealthy relationship patterns. My name's Jodie Thornton, and today I want to talk to you about what we need to do when we're getting our kids to listen that does not turn them into a people pleaser. So the part of the reason why this is an important thing to do is that if you're always thinking to yourself, I really need you to listen, but what if I'm overpowering you so often that you then don't know how to stand up to people when you need to? If that's going through your mind a lot, you're less likely to be able to notice what's going on for your child. You're less likely to be able to be skillful in just getting them to listen anyways. And the third thing is, the more your mind is running with fear around what is going to happen if you make a mistake, the less chance you have to put that energy into anything else, whether that is different ways of parenting for your child, whether that is your own pursuits or interests in your own life, and even whether it's just being more relaxed, which makes you more present as a parent. So that all being the case, what do we need to do? So the first thing is we want to look for, when we're telling our child why they need to listen, we want to focus on what is the real reason. And when I say that, what I mean is that most of us, when we're trying to get our child to listen and they don't listen, our very next step is to try to explain it again. So either we say it again, we might say it differently, we might say it louder. We often will try to convince our child why they should want what we want, right? We give them things like, you need to learn how to clean up because you want to be a person who is considerate of other people. And our children are like, yeah, that's not really that important to me now, either at this age or in this moment or just in general. Like, they're just not convinced. And the more we try to tell them what their perspective should be, the less connection they have with themselves, or the more connection they'll have with themselves and the less they'll listen to you. Like, it'll go one way or the other, right? But so what we want to do is give them the real reason, like why do they need to tidy up their toys right now? And when I ask parents this in sessions, I actually have to say there isn't a correct answer here, and I'm not being facetious. Like, this is a genuine question. Why is it that you want them to clean up right now? Because there's a difference between, I need you to clean up because I physically cannot relax when there's mess, versus I need you to clean up because I don't want to, it stresses me out that I might step on your toy and break it because I don't want to buy another toy, but I will feel like I need to because it was me that broke it, but actually it was you that left it out, right? So that's a different reason, right? Versus another reason, your brother breaks your things routinely when you leave them out, and you're going to be really sad about that if it happens again, and it's probably going to happen again because it's happened lots of times, right? So all of these are different reasons as to why things need to be cleaned up, and we want to look for really tangible reasons that matter right now. When we think about, a lot of people will think about, for the future, we want our child to be a considerate person. The problem with that is that the parents who are really focused on you need to be considerate as an adult, they're often programming their child with a specific set of criteria that says you're being considerate. So then when you become an adult, you're like, but I ticked the boxes of what it means to be considerate, which may or may not be what the other person involved actually cares about. So if they have a roommate, an intimate partner, somebody else they live with, like, what we want them to be able to do is assess, what does the other person need, what do I need, and how can we make that work for both of us, rather than it's considerate. If you think about different household rules about how often you clean up, about how often certain chores are done, there are different rules in every household, and you see how many couples do you know where one person thinks that it is completely unacceptable to do it any other way than this, and the other person thinks that they're being ridiculous, right? Essentially, any two people living together probably have a different perspective on what is actually required. And you're not being considerate if you're telling the other person what is appropriate and what isn't. Right? So what we want to do, instead of saying you need to be considerate of other people, therefore you need to clean up your toys at the frequency that suits me, what we want to say is, right now, I can't relax unless the toys are cleaned up. Or, right now, I'm worried your toys are going to get broken if they're left out. And extrapolate that to your example. So that's the first thing, is giving them the real reason, not trying to convince them that they should agree with the reason. The reality is that we need to know how to understand, we need to know how to respect somebody else's needs, even if we don't understand them or we don't agree with them. So that's the thing, we just give them the real reason and then we look for solutions. And so that way it's not about pleasing me, it's about what works for both of us. Which brings me to the second point, which is exploring why they don't want to do what you're trying to get them to do. Or they are doing what you're trying to get them to stop, right? So what we want to do is understand, what is the reason that you're not doing what I'm asking? And that is where we get to this place where we're saying that what you need matters too. The reality is that most of us, when we say, like, why is my child not X, Y, Z, most parents, their first answer will be, oh, he's just being a child. Or they don't care about other people. Or, like, there's all these surface level things which are not incorrect, but they're not the deepest truth. Often the things that get missed out are things like they need to matter, which you'll often find is the issue. If your child won't take any of the solutions offered, the reason they're not taking any solutions is because the issue is that they need to matter rather than they need something specific about the solution, if that makes sense. So they need to matter. Another one might be that they need fun. So often we spend our time, because we're doing our best, we spend our time trying to explain to our children how not everything is fun in life. But actually, why? Like, why can't we spend that same amount of energy finding a way to make the activity fun? Everyone I've spoken to will have an example of something that they've had to do, which is a completely not fun activity that they've managed to have fun doing because of the people they were with or a particular approach that they took with it. There is always a way to make something fun. And so rather than spending our energy trying to help our children learn that not everything is fun, we can just spend that energy finding a way to make it fun. And you can delegate it to them, right? Which is my third point, is that I want to highlight that your particularly strong-willed children, they are so capable at finding solutions. If you've given them the exact, direct, clear reason why they need to do something, and you've helped them to identify what is actually in their way of agreeing, then you can say to them, sweetie, if you can come up with a way that works for both of us, I am so open to that. They will find it because they're much younger, their brains are far more creative. And so we will just discount solutions or not even look in certain areas for solutions because our brains are more patterned. We're used to fitting into society. We're used to fitting into what's most efficient or what we've tried before. We're very habitual creatures as we get to a certain age. So instead of for us to do it, asking them to do it, they're more likely to come up with a creative solution. Then the other thing is that they are highly incentivized, because in most cases, if they don't come up with a solution, we are going to make sure that they do it our way. So they've got a huge incentive to find a way that works better for everybody. So give them, and most strong-willed kids, like, people talk about strong-willed kids as if they only care about what's fair for themselves. But if a strong-willed child recognises that their needs matter and are given some sense of priority, they care very much about justice for everybody. So the more you give them the space and the clarity and the information that they need to solve a problem, they're very good at solving problems. So these are all three things that will make a huge difference in making sure that your child does not become a people pleaser, but does listen when you need them to. So if we think about what that does, it gives them a sense that they matter, that it's okay for them to hold their ground when they need to. They need to be clear about why they're holding the ground, and they need to be considerate of what is necessary for other people. What we really want is our kids to be skillful at finding solutions and participating in a teamwork approach, no matter what situation they're in, whether it's with us at home or whether it's with friends or doing something else, maybe later in life. So this all being the case, if you'd like some to get into the detail of what to do, what to say, and how to get it to happen, you can grab my my webinar. It's called Getting Strong-Willed Kids to Listen. You can sign up for that at jodiethornton.com/listen. And in that webinar, I take you through what gets in the way of strong-willed kids listening and what do we actually do to make this happen for them. If you'd like to grab that, I'd really love to hear your feedback about how that works for you, and thank you so much for watching.